Hey guys, good morning. Today we're headed to the dump first. My truck was getting a little full with garbage. I don't know if you can see it back there. With drywall and just house trash, things like that. But then we're gonna head home. I'm gonna load up some tools and head over to the customer's house. I have two jobs today. The first job is the one I'm gonna take you on. And that is, I have 7 really small patches, maybe 2" by 3". I think he ran electrical or something. So we just have holes in the wall. So we're gonna fix those. I think I'm only gonna show you maybe 2 of those patches, just so it's less confusing. But yeah, this is how to fix a really small hole in the wall and make it look perfect. Please subscribe, comment about if you've ever fixed a hole in the wall. How did it go? Did you do it really well? How many YouTube videos did you watch? Were they helpful? Here, hopefully, I show you everything you need to be helpful so you can fix it really well. Yeah, all right, we'll move into that. Stick around to the end of this video and I'm going to tell you how much I made an hour, how much the total project was, how much I spent in materials. It's going to shock you how much profit I made during this small little repair. These 3 patches here are the ones that I'm going to repair for the video, for the tutorial. It turns out that there was 8 patches total on this job, 3 in the ceiling here, and then there was 1 each in 2 different bathrooms. I didn't show you the second bathroom, but I'll show you briefly later. With these 3 patches, I'm going to use a piece of backing, which is just basically a piece of wood for the new drywall to screw to. If you notice there, I have a screw in the middle, and I just use that as a handle to pull back because it would be impossible to hold that piece of wood against the drywall to get your screws in. If you notice here, I'm going to grab that handle, again that screw, pull back really super tight, and then I'm going to screw in. It's important that you pull back extremely tight because you don't want blowout on those new screws that we're putting in. That'll cause weakened drywall and potential bubbling on the patch. So you definitely don't want any blowouts there. So that handle is extremely, extremely important. Then we just pull it out. I always enjoy when the electrician or plumber leaves the small bit of drywall behind. It just makes things go a little quicker and faster. If you notice the top piece is kind of messed up, it just doesn't matter if it's not a perfect fit because Prefill is going to fix that. Don't get too hung up on that it doesn't fit right or there's big gaps. It just doesn't matter. The second hole, I did the exact same technique, just a piece of plywood. I put a screw in the middle. You could do the same thing with 2x4, 2x3, anything. That handle, again, is extremely important. I'm pulling very hard back to make sure that those new screws I'm putting in, there aren't any blowouts. Now I'm putting the new bit of drywall in, the pre-existing. I tear this paper off just because I don't want anything behind the drywall to make it so it sticks out so we have a bump in our drywall, because you'll definitely see a bump in drywall. So you always want it as flat as possible. Same exact thing on the third patch. I am using that handle to pull back. Same exact thing, same process. Adding backing to drywall is one of the easier ways to do patches. There are different methods. In other videos I will show you those methods, but in this case we're just going to talk about and use backing. I couldn't find this piece, so I had to cut my own, which is fine. And again, it doesn't matter the size. I could have even done one half that size and put 1 screw in it. It doesn't matter if it fits perfectly. It doesn't matter if there's big gaps. Just don't have a problem with it. Don't skip over this part. This is probably one of the most important things to having a successful patch, from bubbling or from a heavy bump that you're going to notice. It's preparation of the patch. What I'm doing here is I'm basically taking a triangle out of each corner because all those little ruffles and bumps I want gone. See how smooth that line is?
Okay, we're going to do that to all 4 corners. Here I'm cutting the first patch, and again I'm prepping the patch for pre-fill. Don't skip over this part. This is the most important part, so you get a successful patch job. Again, we're taking out a small triangle of each side of the square there. So it's a smooth cut instead of that ruffled paper. You will have a terrible looking patch if you leave that ruffled paper. Just trust me, I've done it 10,000 times. Once you're done cutting the sides, the corners always need a little extra of attention. Take the back of your knife and just kind of bang them in. That will get all those fluffs and put them inside so you don't see them when you wipe your knife. This is one of the patches in the bathroom upstairs, a little bit of a bonus content. See how I put a screw right where that lock hits? Okay, it just helps so you don't get a punch through again, so it hits a piece of metal.
Alright, we're going to show you how to do some pre-mix here. We're just going to get some water. Now, the pre-fill, I'm going to get pre-fill and first coat in the same go, just because of how small this repair is. This repair, I normally would have used 5-minute, but the camera really slows me down, so I'm going to use 20-minute. That way I can get all the, I believe there's 7 patches. So we got water, our dry mix. I like to cut a little handle in it, okay, and then I just kind of tap it out. Find this at Home Depot or Walmart. It's just a paddle for paint. If you try to mix this by hand, it takes forever and it's always clumpy. I never measure this. I just find it a waste of time to measure it. I just add as needed with water and fill. For the pre-coat and first fill, I'm going to have this a little thicker. Pretty dry, so I'm just going to add a little water. Okay, so for pre-fill and first coat, this is going to be good. Okay, for the next coats, I'm going to make this a little thinner. It's going to wipe and finish a lot nicer.
This patch, I'm going to show you the pre-fill. Another patch, we'll tape it together. So the reason I'm showing you this one is because we have a huge gap. I'm going to take the corner of my knife and really shove it in there because I want it to be full of mud and not accidentally have an air bubble. So I really get in there and make sure it's just 100% mud. And then I just kind of glob another layer of mud on, and I'm going to wipe it tight as if it were never there. So it's just the gaps that are filled with mud. Here I did the exact same thing. I pre-filled it, shoved it into those corners, then wiped it tight. Tape, I always use mesh tape. If I were to use paper tape here, it potentially could bubble on me. Any repairs, use paper tape. It's because it's such a small patch, I did all 3 layers of tape going the same direction. You're just going to get better results instead of having a tiny little piece of tape on the top and bottom like that. I am just kind of globbing it on. I'm just trying to get the material on the wall right now. It doesn't matter right now. I'm just kind of trying to glob it on there. What I'm going to do next is wipe my corners tight. I'm going to bend my knife. See how I'm bending it? I'm going to bend my knife just so I hit the corners of it. Okay, I'm going to do that to all 4 corners. Once I'm done with all 4 corners, I'm going to kind of wipe down the middle. Now this is just the first coat, so I'm kind of wiping so I can kind of see the tape again. I want this pretty flat. You're not going to get it in one coat. Don't do it too thick. This is the first coat dried. Look how flat and beautiful it is. That's why it's so important to do fantastic prep so we have less fills as possible, and you're going to get great results that way. Alright, this is layer 2. I'm just trying to get the material on the wall so I have something to work with right now. Okay, just glob it on there. First thing we're going to do, we're going to wipe the corners. I'm going to bend that knife. See how I'm bending it? And I'm going to wipe all 4 corners. That creates a good edge and a great taper. Then I'm going to start off the patch and wipe down. Okay, if I were to start on the patch, it would create a knife line. I'm going to do that to all 3 patches. First layer 2. This is the third quick set coat fill. Okay, so I'm just right now getting the material up onto the wall. Next I'm going to wipe the edges tight. That creates a beautiful taper. Then I'm going to start off the patch and wipe down the middle to do any fills that I need. If I were to wipe the knife and just start it in the middle of the patch, it would create a line. See that there? That's why you always want to start off the patch and wipe down or parallel to a line or a fill that you need. Here I really didn't need much of a fill, so I'm just kind of just building up a little bit of a layer. Checking the fill, it's perfect. And again, this is the third quick set coat. These are 3 patches that is finished with quick set fill. We're going to do one final coat of topping. It's a finishing coat. As you can see, we have no fill. If you've watched my other videos, this would make sense. Go back and watch those videos that fill. Okay. No fill. No light, no fill. So these are perfect. So we're going to take our topping coat. We're just going to cover the quick set. Do you see how you barely can see the outline of the patch kind of towards the upper part of it? That isn't a indentation or a bump. Basically what happens when you do a patch, it dries unevenly, so you can kind of see the shadow of the patch and where it dries. What I'm doing here, I'm just getting the material and the topping coat on the wall. Quickset doesn't really like paint, so I always fill it with a topping coat. I'm wiping my edges tight. Every step's exactly the same. I start off the patch and I wipe. I don't need any fills, or if I needed a fill, I would wipe in a certain direction. But here I'm just trying to put a thin layer on, so I'm just starting off the patch and wiping so we're flat, thin, smooth coat. Doing the exact same technique on the second and third patch here. The first and second were a little close together, so I just ended up connecting those. If you always can connect them, the better. It just makes for a nicer, just so there's no fill or bumps. Again, I'm just getting the material up on the wall. Always wipe the edges. See how I'm bending the knife? Every step's like that. You want to feather that edge. As little sanding as possible is ideal. Then I'm going to start off the patch and wipe down. If there was a particular fill I needed, I would wipe parallel to that so I could fill that area and not wipe it down. But I don't need a fill anywhere, so I'm just trying to get a very thin layer. Doing the exact same thing on the third here. Just getting the material in position. Then I'm going to wipe the edges. All the edges, and then I'm going to start off the patch and wipe down. I want you to see how little sanding, if done right, that you need to do. All I'm going to do is just barely sand the edge, and you're going to see the difference, okay? That's perfect. See that tiny bit there, that step? Now it's feathered out. That's all you need. We're gonna sand just very lightly in the middle, but we're going to do all the way around the edges.
All right, here we're mixing up mud for our orange peel. This is our sprayer. Okay, compressor's already hooked up downstairs. I just scooped that right out of the bucket here. I'm gonna add a little water to it, mix it up so it's a little bit thinner. Okay, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so I've mixed it up so it's pretty thin. Okay. That's how I clean my thing. Loading it can be tricky when you're alone, but basically I just shove mine in the crack of my truck. I just kind of stick it like that. Then I just take it and pour it in. Okay, I get a knife and scoop it out into there. So I just scoop it out into there. And that's enough for the small patch that we're going to be doing. Okay. I'm going to next take it and kind of just bang it to get any air bubbles out. And then we're ready to go downstairs.
The orange peel texture I'm trying to match right now, it's kind of a blotchy, blobby look. It's not the best, but that's what I'm trying to match. And obviously with any patch, you want to match what the existing is. So that's why it kind of looks like that. I'm going to spray all of the edges, and I also kind of spray outside of the patch, and that helps blend it. So again, you don't know that there was a patch there. I didn't show you the ceiling, I just wanted to keep this video short, but here is the final texture on the ceiling. That's called a stomp brush, and that technique we'll show you in another video.
Okay, we just finished up. How easy and quick was that job? Doesn't it seem so easy to do? That job paid us $270, and it took us 3.5 hours to do. How many of you can sit there and say you make $77 an hour? And I do this full time. I didn't just do one today. I'm off to do another one. It's gonna pay $200, take a couple hours. The reason for my videos is I want you to break free of that mindset of working the 9 to 5 or working for somebody else. Just be sick and tired of making somebody else money. It's not cool. Make yourself the money, right? If I was working for a patch company, they would pay me $15 an hour, say, oh, here's a free truck, here's $15 an hour. Maybe even say, we'll buy you lunch. And you might think $15 an hour plus a truck is fantastic. What about $77 an hour and you pay for your own truck, right? Break free from the concept of working for somebody else. It's a stupid idea. All these videos are about how to make money, how to save money, how to budget properly. Anything to do with money, I want to be your guy. Tell me, comment below about a job that you had or an idea you had where you made profit from. Anything, even if it's 1 penny profit after your expenses, everything. I want to hear about it, and then I want to talk about it and see how that could even be potentially a full-time thing. Please subscribe. Share these videos with your friends. I want to get the word out about changing people's mindset and making your own money, because that's what freedom is.